Einechem haraot et asher asa Adonai b'Baal Peor ki kol ha'ish asher halach achrei Baal Peor hishmido Adonai Elohecha b'kirbecha v'atem hadabekim b'Adonai Elohechem chayim kulchem hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah v'emet v'chayil v'matavah. What's happening? Repeat the Torah. Yeah. Oh,
Okay. Well, Yishaberach Avotinu V'Imitenu Abraham Yitzchak V'Yaakov Sarah Parapalaleah. May the one who bless our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you. Since you have come up with the Torah in honor of God and Torah, may you merit from the Holy One a blessing, protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success in your every endeavor, together with all of Israel, and let us say, Amen. Amen. Shalom. Let's do a little translation here. I pleaded with the Eternal at that time, saying, O Eternal God, who let your servant see the first works of your greatness in your mighty hand, you whose powerful deeds no God in heaven and on earth can equal. Let me, I pray, cross over and see the good land on the other side of the Jordan, the good hill country, and the Lebanon. But the Eternal was wrathful with me on your account. Interesting, right? Wrathful with me on your account, and would not listen to me. The Eternal One said to me, enough. Never speak to me of this matter again. Go up to the summit of Pisgah and gaze about, to the west, to the north, to the south, and the east. Look at it well, for you shall not go across yonder Jordan. Give Joshua his instructions and imbue him with strength and courage, for he shall go across at the head of his people, and he shall allot to them the land that you may only see. Meanwhile, we stayed on the valley near Beit Peor. And now, O Israel, give heed to the laws and rules that I am instructing you to observe, so that you may enter to live and occupy the land that the God of your ancestors is giving you. You shall not add anything to what I command you, nor take anything away from it, but keep the commandments of the Eternal your God, that I can join upon you. You saw with your own eyes what the Eternal did in the matter of Baal Peor, that the Eternal your God wiped out from among you every person who followed Baal Peor, while you, who held fast to the Eternal your God, are all alive today. So let's take a look at that, and then I think we'll move on to thinking about that. We'll take a little bit of a tiny break. We'll do Yishaberach, and then we'll come back to the Torah, which will lead us into the Haftarah. How does that sound? So for Yishaberach this morning, I'm going to grab the Torah over here. Think of all those people that we know, people we don't know, who are in need of healing this morning. And we'll sing together Yishaberach on page 253 in just a moment. We hold in our hearts this morning, Batya, Bat Yosef, the Shimon, Les Berkowitz. Although you're here today, how are you feeling? Alex Botkin, Dina Demas, Joanne DeWitt, Ann Fay, Ken Franklin, Ari Gebel, Ariman Harlalka, David Mordechai Cohen, Madeline Kaplan, Sylvia Kasparowski, Carol Kaufman, Al Camper, Todd Cart, Lee Kramer, Susan Lothar, Hinda Sarabat, Hannah Pearl, Sophie Matiash, Joanne Mandel, Ken Markson, Beatrice Jean, B.G. Morrison, Joanne Newman, Lev Borovsky, Jonathan Robeson, Jason Roney, Oliver Scheibel, John Spear, Bill Stein, Jackie Student, Helen Marie Tyree, David Wallach, Alan Walker. I can't stop thinking about Solomon Rushdie because I spent so many summers at Chautauqua, and probably some of you have also. And it's supposed to be like, it is one of the most peaceful places ever. And I my family would joke with me because I'd get out of the car and I'd be like, it just felt good. Don spent many times. It's just this beautiful, safe place for ideas, for kids to run around. And that is where Salman Rushdie finally got. This is terrible. And I read this morning that he's expected to live, but he might lose his eye, and he's likely to lose his eye. He's got all kinds of maternal terrible injuries. So thinking about Salman Rushdie. Anyone else for Shabbat this morning?
Jennifer Bernard and Kersha Goldman.
Harry Ingrid is on our list, and also Isabel Lyon. Mr. Ira Ross.
Sean and David Hauser.
You should get up. Please rise as we dress the I need a smaller Torah. It tells me every week, you need a smaller Torah. I'm like, I know. But this one is here. It's big. I mean, it's got a nice print, or font, or handwriting. What do we call it? Tiv. Handwriting.
And elegance is so very Japan.
It does.
Okay.
All right, so I want to talk about the Torah portion as a way to lead into the half Torah portion. I think it's all connected with what I think it's connected with what I brought up at the beginning about how is it that we deal with these major disappointments in life. So, all of us I think could probably say what are small disappointments in life. Like the fact, like I could say, well, it's too bad that I never made it past 5-1, and then I started going down. But that's a minor disappointment. It's not huge. I mean, some of us have like major disappointments in life, and pains that are just aren't going to go away. Or if they do, it's going to take a very long time and will never be the same. I'm thinking of so many things, most recently my next door neighbors, who had a tragedy happen. And when it happened, I thought, it's just never going to be the same for them ever again. And we all have. So, I hope we don't have terrible tragedies in our lives, but disappointments. And what do we do? So in this, the beginning of this portion of Etchanan, it's an unusual verb, and in the Eitzheim commentary, this is what it says about it. It seems so out of character for Moses to plead on his own behalf. So remember all the times he's pleaded on our behalf, like please don't punish them, God. I'll give them another chance. But in this case, he's pleading for himself, and he says, and for Etchanan, it seems out of character to do this, and to share with the people, and to tell them his frustration of having his plea denied. Even Ezra, commentator, suggests that he did it to impress on the Israelites the great virtue of living in the land of Israel. It was the one thing he yearned for that was denied him. In other words, don't think it's a minor, don't understand how important it is to live there. This is the only thing in my life that I didn't get, and it's this huge disappointment. You should remember how lucky you are to have this land. Others suggest that he was trying to teach that one should never lose hope. So even when it was pretty clear that he wasn't going to cross over into the Jordan, he'd been told that a few times, he wanted to ask it again. And then the rest of that thought is that our deepest prayers may yet be answered. Yes, and no, sometimes no. The Midrash understood that the verb, this way the verb is expressed, as meaning to throw oneself at the mercy of the other, to plead with no grounds to justify one's request. In other words, like, chanan, grace. Just, I know I don't deserve it, but please be gracious. That word grace. Please be gracious to me. And then this, I'll just give you this one, but because it's not exactly the same path, but you might as well hear of the one from, what's his name, Yoshua Leibowitz, who sees Moses as not aware of the fact that he has sinned, regarding the decree against him as unjustified. He pleads not for forgiveness, but for annulment of the decree. I don't know, but that's what someone says. Sometimes we're not aware of what we've done, or we don't want to admit what we've done. So let me just share with you what Rabbi Mark Saddest says about these kind of disappointments. He talks a little bit about some of these small disappointments. This is Mark Saddest. He says, at some point in my childhood, it was the realization that I would never be a major league baseball player, but later that I would never be president of the United States. Later still that the articles and books I write will not be bestsellers. However, he has written books that many of us have read. It will not revolutionize human thought, nor will I bring a great awakening of Jewish religious consciousness, transforming the lives of the masses of our people. The truth is that I'm not even the good, ethical, thoughtful, caring person I would like to be. Eventually, we reach a stage where we must recognize that our lives come to an end, and even some of the more modest, realistic goals we set for ourselves will remain unfulfilled. How do we respond to this recognition? Do we become angry at God because we are not as talented or as fortunate as others? Do we lash out in resentment at those who are now younger, more promising, or accomplished than we? Do we abandon worthwhile causes because we have not been able to leave our personal imprint on them? Because others have taken our place and we are no longer needed the way we once may have been? Or can we accept ourselves, take pride in what we've been able to accomplish, and temper the frustration of our shortcomings with the knowledge that others will carry forward the values toward which we aspire? So the Torah portion kind of gives us an answer within it, where it says Joshua in the same paragraph of you're not going to go in, but Joshua is. And so, and some of us who have children, and even if we don't have children, there's other people in life that we've influenced, we know that some of what we've stood for, not all of it, but some of what we've stood for will be carried on, right? I mean, that there is a future for the work that we've done, and we all know that we don't have to complete the work, right? But we're getting started on the work, and so it will get carried on. And seeing Joshua, it would be easy to be resentful of that younger guy that gets to go in where Moses doesn't. But on the other hand, there is a person who's going to, if you care about what's happening as opposed to that you do it, right, then there's a relief knowing that Joshua is going to be there to do it, right? I mean, I think that's hard for us. I think that's hard for, as we get older, not all of us are older, but as we get older, we recognize, well, you know, I'm not going to do all of that, and to let go a little bit of that and say, but it's okay, because someone else is going to do it. It's hard, but it's necessary, right? And it's necessary. We're not going to be able to do everything that we set out to do. So that's part of it. I wanted to suggest two other things, and one of them is in the Haftarah. But the first one is in verse 24. It says Adonai, and then it's Adonai Elohim. If you see in the translation there, you're probably not looking at it anymore. And the first Adonai is like my Lord. It's actually, Lord is in a little lowercase Lord, like master kind of Lord. And then the next one is the Yud He Vav He. Then the next word is Elo. It's written with the 4 letters of God's name, but it has the vowels of Elohim. Do you understand? Like so it's written as Yud He Vav He, but it's not pronounced as we would pronounce. I think I probably pronounced it wrong. I wasn't clear what to do. But it was, so the word is written as Yud in the Torah scroll as Yud He Vav He, but in a version that has vowels, which the Torah doesn't have, the vowels look like Elohim. Do you follow that?
Yeah.
So it's like so what about that? Like whenever there's something like that, we need to try to figure out what that means. So we can think about what those different names of God are. So just like any place, any person or place in the Torah, there's a meaning behind the word of their name. It says something about what happened there, or who they are, something about their character. The same thing with God. So God's names, different names, indicate various aspects of God's, like if we would say personality, which we know God doesn't have personality, but God's different characteristics. So the Yud He Vav He, that we usually pronounce as Adonai, that suggests God's kindness and mercy. The kindness and mercy aspects of God. The Elohim is God's justice side. So there's mercy, and that's just how it works out. So Adonai is the kind, merciful aspects of God, and the Elohim is the just, right? Justice. So sometimes we think justice and mercy can't go hand in hand, or that either has to be one or the other. But here, because of this way that it's done, where the vowels are one and the letters are another, and then just the vowels and letters are different in Hebrew than they're in English. Then we have to figure out what that means. And Rashi says that God is merciful even in justice. So even though it seems strict, it is merciful. It may be merciful. So in this context, what does that mean? Well, you probably have some ideas, but I'm just going to give you one that I thought of. One is that he says, "Can I see and enter?" And God says, "Well, you can see it." So maybe that's an example, maybe, of the mercy part. You're not going in, that decision has already been made. You're not going in, but you can see it. I don't know if that's better or worse. But that is a possible one. Anyone have any other thoughts before I transition us into the Haftarah? Yeah.
Discussion in the Shabbat study highlighted the word pain, grace, and from the Rashi commentary, going back to Exodus, where Moses is actually pleading to see God's face, And God says, well, I'll show you some grace, and that will be, you'll see my back only. So Moses has this experience of getting partial grace, and maybe it's suggesting we have to look back at our lives and see what have we done before with disappointment and loss, and how have we got through that loss, and that may help us get to the next loss that we have.
That's nice. Does it work? Does it work? Yeah. So here's my thought for the morning. So this is Shabbat Nachamu, as I said. Shabbat, when we read the portion from Isaiah that begins, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, comfort my people, comfort them. We read this because we just passed Tisha B'Av, which was observed last Sunday. Tisha B'Av is called the saddest day of the Jewish year, which we think about it commemorates all of the tragedies that have happened to the Jewish people. And it begins with, the first one is the destruction of the first temple, because then we had to, first of all, not only did we lose our way of life, but we had to leave Israel and get accustomed to something else that was in foreign land and foreign everything. Then we came back, and the destruction of the second temple in 70 caused the diaspora that we're actually still all living in, right? That we all live throughout the world. And then think about all of the tragedies that have befallen us since then, which are many. So this Tisha B'Av is the saddest day of the Jewish year, and there's the way that the rabbis have constructed the Haftarah, the portions that we read in addition to the Torah, that leading up to Tisha B'Av, there's there are 3 weeks of Haftarah portions that are critical of us, which is questionable. We're not going to talk about that right now, whether we should be blaming the victim. That's for next year, because we already passed it. But 3 weeks of blaming, what did we do that was wrong? What did we do? What can we hold ourselves accountable for? I'm not blaming the victim, that it's our fault, but what can we hold ourselves accountable for? And then 7 weeks of consolation, 7 weeks of Haftarah portions that are consoling us, soothing us, helping us to feel better. What I like about that is that there's more than twice as much consolation as there is criticism. Something for us to remember, more than twice as much consolation as there is criticism when we interact in our lives. And that we need this kind of consolation. So when I'm thinking about my neighbors, for example, that I said this terrible thing happened and that they're never going to be the same, the only thing that I can do now is, because we can't reverse what happened, the only thing that I can do now is to try to be a good neighbor, to be consoling, to try to do whatever I can. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do. And I'm hoping that with my actions and with all the other actions of the people in their lives, that they will eventually feel better. They're not going to feel all better, ever, but they will feel better because people care about them. And they're also religious people, Presbyterians. They are going to get strength in their faith, from their faith as well, and from the people in that community. So I think that maybe my suggestion then is that this Haftarah portion that begins to console our people, we can think about for Moses too, or anyone who's gone through a disappointment, what might we do to console them? Not to be bringing up the bad stuff, but to bring the consolation, more than twice as much consolation. And so that's my introduction. That's sort of how I'm seeing the connection with the Torah portion and this huge disappointment, and the Haftarah portion of consolation. And so we're going to have here this melody of from these words, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, and then we'll have John read us the portion. And the portion is on page 1222. 1222. And the words of the melody are the very first words of the portion.
Feel free to join in or follow along.
I don't know this one. It's really pretty. Ready? 1, 2, 2, 2.
Comfort my people, comfort them, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. Say to her that she has served her term, that her sin is pardoned, for she has received from the hand of the Eternal more than enough punishment for her sins. A voice calls, prepare a road for the Eternal through the wilderness, clear a highway in the desert for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill made low. The uneven ground shall be made level, the rough places a plain. The Eternal's presence shall be revealed, and united all shall see it, for the Eternal One has spoken. A voice rings out, announce. Another asks, what shall I announce? All flesh is grass, and all its grace like a flower in the field. Grass withers and flowers fade when God's breath blows on them. Yet the people are grass. Grass withers and flowers fade, but our God's word holds good forever. Ascend a high mountain, O herald of good tidings to Zion. Raise your voice with power, O herald of good tidings to Jerusalem. Speak up without fear. Say to the cities of Judah, behold your God. Behold the eternal God coming in might, coming to rule with outstretched arm, bringing divine reward and recompense from on high. Like a shepherd tending a flock, gathering the lambs in his arms, carrying them and gently leading the ewes. Who can measure the ocean in the palm of their hand, or gauge the skies with a span, or put all earth's dust in a bushel, or weigh the mountains in a scale, the hills in a balance? Who can assess the mind of the Eternal, or act as God's advisor? Whom has God consulted? From whom has God taken instruction to learn the path of right? Who has guided God in knowledge, teaching God the way of understanding? Why, the nations are but a drop in the bucket, no more than dust on a scale to God. Whole islands are but fine dust. All Lebanon could not provide fuel enough, nor are all its beasts enough for burnt offerings. The nations are nothing before God, who considers them as less than nothing. To whom then can you liken God? What can you imagine that compares to God? An idol? An idol work recorded, a smith plated it with gold and forged silver links. As a gift, someone chooses mulberry, a wood that does not rot, then finds a skillful woodworker to make an idol that won't fall down. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Were you not told from the beginning? Have you not grasped how the world began? It is God, enthroned beyond the horizon, to whom we all seem like grasshoppers. It is God who spreads the heavens out like a curtain and stretches them like a tent to live in, bringing princes to naught, making earth's rulers as nothing. Scarcely are they planted, hardly sown, scarcely has their stem taken root in earth when God blows on them and they wither, and the tempest carries them off like stubble. To whom then will you compare me? Who is my equal? Says the Holy One. Lift up your eyes on high and see who created these stars, the one who leads out their host by number, calling them each by name, whose great might and vast power no one can escape.
Amen.
follow that with page 2E. Please rise. Passages on page 294. Think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died in the last 30 days. Ira Alschuler, Jonathan Schechter, Edward Silverman, and Anna Blackmorse. Other names for recent death? Recent death? I'm about to do yard site. Those whose yard site we observed this week: Stuart Cabot, James Dengler, Sally Dichter, Arlene Samuels Fisher, Miriam Friedman, Zola H. Gold, Muriel Gutman, Rita Perlo Lang, Mary Sophie Hasloff, Harry Hath, Dr. J. Newberg, Sophie Half Newman, Ann Rosenthal, Morris E. Rudin, Cecil Silverman, Malcolm Slivkin, Mercedes Swiss, Morris Waldman, Barbara Weiss, Ivan H. Wolf.
Also, just to celebrate the situation, Annie Hesh, a wonderful actor, Mr. Person who died in a wheel crash, ultimately, and also Gail McCullough, contributed so much to our understanding of American history.
Zichronam Libracha, may the memories be for blessing. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei
Amen.
Yamad, Yivrat, Yirtei, Family Kaputei, Vayechon, Uyemechon, Vayetevol Israel, Vadalau Islam Harli, Vibur.
Amen.
Yesh Shemei Rav, Alam, Omei, Amayah. Yitzvarah, Yishshalach, Yitzchakar, Yitzhamah, Yinasem. Yitadar, Yitalad, Yitalal, Shmei, Kudashah, Leilani, Kol Berachata, Sherata, Tishvachata, Nechamata, Tamiran, Ne'alam, Vibur.
Amen.
Yehei Shalom, Rabba, Mishmaya, Chaim, Aleinu, V'Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. V'Oseh Shalom, V'Raham, Yiyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. Just a moment, we will conclude our service with Adon Olam on page 321. My gratitude to Luke and to Dawn and to Kendra Berman and to everyone for their participation this morning. Shabbat to you, Gary. The only announcement I have is that there is one more lecture, and I actually forgot to bring it downstairs. Another lecture coming up in the garden, and it'll be by Jonathan Winkle. And since I forgot the day of it, it's on our website.
17th.
See, I'll remember and I don't. It's 17th.
It's Wednesday.
Whatever. I'll say this. Adon Olam, page 321.
Israel,
coming Haaretz. He's gonna get some challah, bring your books, say hello. There's snacks to go, I believe, I'm not sure where. It's where to hang out.
What?